Our final presenter today was first elected as a state rep for Connecticut's 80th district, which covers Wolcott and part of Southington, in 2018, after serving on the Wolcott Town Council for 10 years, 8 as its vice chairwoman. She currently serves as the ranking member of the General Assembly's Government Administration and Elections Committee. She also serves on the committees for Children and Human Services and has previously served on the Finance Committee. She has received the Outstanding Leadership Award from the Connecticut Home Care Association and the Award for Conservative Excellence from CPAC for being such a staunch fighter in preserving and protecting the integrity of our elections. Please welcome one of our friends in the General Assembly's Conservative Caucus, State Rep. Gale Mastrofrancesco.
Thank you. Wow. What a welcome. So excited. It's really tough to follow Joe Markley. He's such a good presenter. But thank you, Ann and Mark, for having me here today. I'm really grateful for this opportunity, but it's even a greater moment to be in a room with so many patriots. Thank you. I had the opportunity last year to go to CPAC, and wow, if you ever have the chance to do that, you're really going to be surrounded by a lot more patriots. There you go. Good. And you know, because in Connecticut you don't think that there's a lot of patriots because we're surrounded by so many others. Certainly in Hartford, I don't see a lot of patriots like you do, so I truly, truly enjoy this moment. And when Ann called me and asked me to talk today, and she said the theme today was how to endure faith, family, and freedom, I said to myself, wow, considering the political environment that we're in and the direction our country has taken over the years, this is one theme that really resonates with everybody. So today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about faith, family, and freedom, and how it plays really a role in the legislature, and basically how my personal view is. And I maybe give you a few minutes if we have time to kind of go over some of the policies that are going on in Hartford today, and then hopefully if I'm quick, we may have a few minutes to do a little Q&A. But I do want to just a couple things really. When I was growing up, my parents brought us up with traditional American family values, instilling in us the importance of working hard, living with integrity, and doing everything with unwavering determination. And you know, to this day I have maintained those values, and they've served me very well over the years. Because without values we have no purpose, because values give our lives meaning. And I can tell you as a legislator that we are faced with many issues all the time that challenge those values. But I think if you asked any of my colleagues, that they would tell you that I am not one to waver or compromise those principles, no matter what the consequences are. I think for many of us, traditional family values that we grew up with stem from individual responsibility and accountability, and the values that we hold are sacred. We value life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because those words from the Declaration of Independence have meaning, have a very significant meaning, and play a very important role in our lives today and future generations. And I have to tell you that we have to do everything we can to protect them, no matter what the consequences are. You know, that's how we grew up. We figured it out. We knew what to do. We didn't depend on the government. We didn't worry about if the government was infringing in our lives and had too much interference in our daily lives. We knew what their role was. But I can tell you, and I think everybody here knows that things have changed drastically over the years. We are having a crisis in government overreach and government dependency. Basically, we've lost our way. Our country, excuse me, was not founded on the principles that you are guaranteed a certain lifestyle. Our country was founded on the principles of our faith, and that we are free people, and we will have every opportunity to do what we want to be successful, but we have to work for it. Amen. I will say that, excuse me, the Democrats have successfully changed the mindset of many as to what the function of government is. That, I have to tell you, is extremely frightening because we talk to people every day and we hear it. What is the government going to do for me? Well, we all know nothing is free. I actually was at an event in Waterbury for our Chamber of Commerce, and they kind of give their legislative proposals and talk about what's on their mind. And then at some point we go into breakout sessions based on the committees that you're on. And I was in one breakout section, and all I heard was constant theme is that we need you to support this program. We need more funding. We need more money. We have a lot of issues, but we can't afford it. Their dependency on the government has increased dramatically. There are plenty of taxpayer-funded programs that people depend on, which is concerning. We just recently voted on to extend free lunch for all students till the end of June. They passed legislation that gave people hero pay or pandemic pay. I mean, think about it. So many people lost their jobs during the pandemic because maybe they chose that they didn't want to be vaccinated for whatever reason is, but they lost their jobs. But people who actually were fortunate to keep their jobs and make money, they were actually getting a bonus when people have actually lost their jobs. There's programs at the state level about debt-free college, and I think of when everybody here, they have family members or perhaps they put their kids through college that you had to pay for it, but the state now wants to take over that. When the governor gave his budget address a couple of weeks ago, believe it or not, I have to shake my head. Oh, listen, we all want to reduce taxes, but there's always more of that government overreach and more government programs. Because in my opinion, all you are doing is you're buying votes at the expense of others. $100 million in there, this program is called Time to Own program, which offers forgivable down payment assistance to low and moderate income home buyers. Now just think about it. When I grew up, we had to save our money for our down payment. The government wasn't there to bail us out. $2 million for out-of-state individuals coming to Connecticut to seek abortions. Seeking abortions, we're going to pay for people out of state. Another part of his plan was to pay off people's medical debt. Think about that. These are government handouts. These programs are making people far more dependent on the government. Free bus rides, raising the earned income tax credit, and the list goes on and on. There was a survey, I can't remember, I saw it maybe in the Connecticut Mirror about rent control. There's a big issue going on in Connecticut on our housing that the government wants to do rent stabilization. Basically tell the landlord this is how much you can charge for rent and how much you can increase it. And the survey said it was over 50% of the people actually agreed with that. Can you imagine people giving up their freedom and letting the government dictate to them what's best for them? We had a public hearing last week because the government wants to give illegal immigrants free health care that you pay for. So we had a public hearing last week. Do you believe over 700 people sent in testimony supporting it? 700 people. The public hearing went on probably till around midnight. There were only 8 pieces of testimony against it. Against it. Think 700 people in favor, 8 people against, and only 2 or 3 people actually testified against it. So these are some of the issues that we are up against. My guess, if you had a conversation with people and you asked them what they thought the role of government was, I think you'd be shocked. Absolutely shocked to hear what they would say. I was at a school once talking about civics and I asked the class, do you think we need more government or less government? And certainly half of the class, more than half, I'd say 75% raised their hand and said that we need more government. So I have to question, you have to wonder, how did this happen? Really, how did it get here today? I think what happened is that, people are busy, they're raising their families, their kids are going to school, maybe their parents are sick, they're trying to take care of them. And they kind of hit the snooze button. We get up every morning, you need that 10 more minutes to sleep and you hit the button. And you're a few minutes late for work. And then it happens again, you hit the snooze button. And I always say that I think we hit that snooze button too many times. Because there will come a point where it's hard to get back to where you started. And I think it's really important. And I do think people are starting to wake up today. I truly believe that. But I have to tell everybody here, please don't hit that snooze button. I know nobody in here, in this room, hits the snooze button. But, you know, we have to go out and we have to really preach that. I mean, really, did you ever imagine in your lifetime? I never did growing up, and I don't want to date myself, let anybody know how old I really am. But did you ever imagine that the state of Connecticut, they would shut down businesses? Did you ever imagine that in your lifetime, that they would close a place of worship? That they would mandate a vaccine and require proof that you received the vaccine? I was at an event not too long ago doing talking with people, and this woman actually came up to me and she demanded, she goes, I want to know, are you fully vaccinated? That's what, this is how bad it has become. And very nicely, but very firmly, I basically told her that it was none of her business. I truly did. And that I don't share my medical information with anybody. That's basically what I told her. And she just kind of looked at me and she asked me again. And I actually at one point I got mad. I said, ma'am, it is none of your business. That's what I told her. And that's kind of what you have to do these days, right? As you know, the CDC added the COVID vaccine to the schedule for child immunization schedule. We don't know what the state of Connecticut is going to do on that yet. Let's hope they don't add it. So did you ever think that the state would mandate that you wear a mask? And people who are really adamant about this and they demand that you wear a mask, I remember my colleague over here, Representative Ann Dauphin, they haven't worn masks at all. We were thrown out of the chamber for not wearing a mask. We were thrown out of the chamber for not wearing a mask. So, you know, when I get into these situations and when you're debating somebody and they ask you about, they're afraid that you should be wearing a mask and you should be vaccinated, and I try to explain to them the government should not be interfering with those decisions. They should not be telling you what you can and cannot do. And I look at them and I say, how would you like it if the government told you that you could not wear a mask? And you know what? I think it kind of clicks. I think they get it after I say that. How would you like it if the government told you that you could not take a medication that you needed? And I think it certainly helps with the debate on it. And who would have thought our government would silence free speech? Freedom of speech remains the cornerstone of a free society, and without it, quite honestly, we have no freedom. The state of Connecticut has gone as far as hiring a misinformation specialist, I don't know if any of you knew that, to monitor your social media activity. And actually, some of that information has come up in the Twitter file dump. So as ranking member of the JE committee, I'm certainly working on it to get some information with Senator Sampson to find out what's going on there. So, the Democrats are really good at certain things, right? They are very masterful. Listen, you got to give credit where credit is due. I don't agree with them at all, but let's be honest. They do two things very, very well. And that is they create fear and greed. And that's how they win elections. Okay? And they have an advantage because the media obviously helps them with it. But just think about it. They created fear with COVID. They're still doing it. The state of Connecticut is still under a public health emergency. It's been 3 years. In 2 weeks, yeah, thank you. You know, fear for people that they're going to maybe lose their state assistance. A fear of firearms. If you think about it, if you go down to Texas, you got people there, they open carry all the time, right? We can open carry in Connecticut. But if the average person saw somebody walking around with a firearm in a holster that they could see, they would freak out. Right? Just think about how brainwashed the people in Connecticut are to think that they automatically think that's really bad. Oh my God, they got a gun. But you don't hear that. You don't see that in other states. And the biggest fear that they use is trying to silence people. because people are afraid to speak out. I know I'm not afraid to speak out at all. I've been called out on it many times, and I know my colleagues are not. A lot of my colleagues are not. But they really try to silence you, and they really try to silence elected officials, because many, many people are afraid to speak out. You know, you get called names, you'll be called, I don't know, a racist, homophobe, whatever it is. They do, but they'll certainly attack you all the time, and there's always backlash with there. So, there's a lot of issues going on in the state today, especially with parental rights. Our religious freedoms, our families, and our free speech are under attack in a really big way. They really don't even hide it anymore. They don't. They're blatant. They just come out and talk about it. They want you to know what they're doing to your children, what they're doing to your families. In fact, UConn School of Law is advertising a symposium that they are having. And you ready? You know what the title is called? The title is called "Are Parental Rights Always in the Best Interest of Children?" Okay? So it's a training camp for progressives on how to insert more government bureaucracy between parents and children. So there's a lot going on in our schools today. There's actually bills proposed in the legislature that would prohibit punishing of a teacher for teaching certain subjects. They have a certain vision, ideology. It would actually protect the teacher from there. There's bills in there that actually would prevent the parent from getting information on what's being taught in the schools. Where on the Republican side, we are trying to have more transparency and have parents be able to actually go online and see the curriculum. We have bills that are coming through constantly. They call them a technical change to our statutes. And I see this often, I saw it again last year, was, instead of a pregnant woman, pregnant parent, when they talk about trying to strip the word woman out of all of our statutes. Come on, ladies, we can't let this happen. We cannot let this happen. It's no longer called breastfeeding, ladies, it's called chest feeding. Okay? They've taken the words and they're changing them to chest feeding. So talk about losing your rights. I mean, I swear they're trying to really make women extinct, right? We can't have our own sport anymore. We have to share it with men. Sorry, they're men. We can't use the word breast anymore. It's chest. I mean, the list goes on and on. So these are things that I'm really passionate about, and I got to tell you, they really send a chill up my spine when they try to change those things. So I can assure you, myself and many of our colleagues will be speaking out on those issues. How are we doing on time?
Okay. You want to go through some of the bills?
Yeah, I guess a couple more things I just want to remind people. The CTRA and groups like this are really, really doing a good job. And I thank you for that. We have to keep it going. Here we go. I have one more thing I just really wanted to mention. There are some really important public hearings coming up next week. One for housing about the rent stabilization. They want to cap rental increases. Human Services, there's a real important meeting, a public hearing. I really encourage everyone to please testify. Let's not be like the 700 people that sent in favor of paying for health care for illegals, and there's only 8 opposed. Let's make this the opposite with this particular bill, is where they want to pay the health care for people coming from out of state traveling into Connecticut to get an abortion. And that bill is coming up next week in public hearing, so I would urge everybody here to please send in testimony and speak up. And then also there's a bill coming on a GE committee about early voting. There's going to be testimony on that right now. It's probably, I hear, 10 days, 14 days, 18 days, 30 days, so there'll be a public hearing on that as well. So, but what I have done is there's so much, as a legislator, we're getting constantly getting new bills put at us, and I really try to take my time to go through them to see what bills I think are really the worst. There's a lot of them. So I actually put a list together, and I had to create it, and what I call it is, we can put that up?
Well, I actually broke it out a little bit so people can read it.
Oh, okay. So I actually called it Connecticut's Wild, Wild Left. Okay? And I put some of these, thank you. I actually left some of these on the table for you to take with you. But this is
It's on our Facebook page.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much. This is scary because this is actually what they think.
Yeah.
Don't ever look at any of these things and say, oh my God, that's outrageous, that's not going to happen. This is the way that the Democrats in Harvard actually think. This is them pushing their agenda. If it doesn't get pushed through now, they'll try to push it again. And these are just some of them. So when we talk, I'll go over a few of them with you. When you talk about election integrity, they want to grant illegal immigrants the right to vote. Okay? They want to allow prisoners or inmates to vote. Okay? These are, they're outrageous. Oh, this one's really good. Mandatory voting. If you don't vote, you're going to get fined. I mean, is that the most outrageous thing you have ever heard of? You will get fined if you don't vote.
Unconstitutional.
And of course, there's a bill in there to permanently strip away someone's voting rights if they were involved in any type of an insurrection. That certainly is a politically motivated bill. And of course, outrageously, they want to lower the voting age to 16. I mean, I think back in the 70s, they changed the voting age from 21 to 18. I think it was in the 70s. Because people can fight in the war, they certainly should be able to vote. Makes sense. But now they want to drop it to 16. Property rights. And on this list, when you see it, you'll see all the bill numbers, and you can actually go to a website and click on the link, and you can actually see it. Property rights. They want to make a right to housing for undocumented immigrants. They want to remove local control of zoning, which is a very serious issue. They want all apartment buildings. They don't want any single-family homes. They don't want your local government controlling the zoning laws here. And they don't. Another one is it prevents landlords from really doing a background check or a credit check on any potential tenant. I mean, let's face it, if you own a piece of property, it's your property. The government has no right to your property whatsoever. That's one of the roles of government. They're supposed to be protecting your rights, protecting your property. Which, all of these bills in housing really are stripping away a lot of rights for landlords. They want to push the replacement of gas stoves. They do. There's a bill in there that actually starts the process. It's a little, you know, they put the carrot out there, oh, we'll replace them for you. Okay. And again, Husky health benefits for illegal immigrants, I think we talked about there. They want to form a reparations task force. Reparations task force. So you can imagine, every time they put a task force in, sometimes they'll come back the next year with a recommendation, this is what we should do. So they want us to pay for things that happened hundreds of years ago. And they also want to hire more tax enforcement officers to come after you. Like the government hired 87,000 more agents. Well, Connecticut wants to make sure that they get their fair share. So they're going to hire our own. And another outrageous, I mean, imagine you go on strike, you voluntarily walk off the job, and they want to be paid unemployment. So you, the taxpayers, are paying unemployment benefits to people that go on strike. Outrageous. Medical freedom, this is a good one. Forced organ donation of helmetless motorcycle individuals in fatal crashes. Is anybody familiar with that? If you're riding a motorcycle and you get into a fatal accident and you don't have a helmet on, you're an organ donor. But these are absolutely outrageous. Did you ever think that this would be happening in the state? There's another bill in there that says when you go to renew your driver's license, or if you're getting a new driver's license, you're automatically an organ donor, unless you opt out. Because this is their thought process. They think the government owns you and they own your body. It's really scary. And parental rights, as I mentioned, obviously, or parental authority, I think is even a better term, is under attack. And they feel that they should let children 12 take a vaccine without a parental notification or any parental consent. And they want to prevent parents from providing input when they disagree with subjects taught in school. So I just wanted to just kind of highlight to you really what's going on in Hartford, just to kind of bring it down to a little level. We had a really great, refreshing history course today, which I truly do enjoy listening to. But, you know, as a group here, we really need to change the hearts and minds of people every single day. because we the people are stronger when we band together. So when I think of, when we're up in Hartford, it gets so frustrating, right? And as you feel here, what can I do? What can I do? And as we as legislators, we get frustrated as well. And I think of our theme today, how to endure faith, family, and freedom. How does that affect me in Hartford? Here's what I do. I think of our veterans. And I think of our veterans and how much they have sacrificed for this country and how much their families have sacrificed. Their lives were lost so we can have freedom and we can actually be here today. Honestly, those are the things that really get me through. We have a plaque in our town hall. It says, talking about a veteran, it says, someone once wrote that when a person joined the U.S. military, they wrote a check to the United States of America for the amount of up to, including their life. And the best way that I feel that we can honor a veteran is to continue on that fight for them, because it was not for nothing. So with that, I really just want to say that may you always have the strength of faith, may you be surrounded by the love of your family, and may you always cherish the beauty of freedom that we have. Thank you very much.